Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, diving into the Super Boss Pirate Alliance Kazuna Clash against Mihawk and Perona with a no new batch team, no tricky treasure map, Ace, Kazuna, Clash, Robin, and Crocodile. None of the new units besides what has come for the 11th anniversary. So, look, this is a Super Boss video. Super Boss is a time to do as much damage as possible, and to do that, you are going to be using some pretty illustrious characters. However, as I mentioned in today's video, we are focusing on the characters that I've basically pushed for you guys to summon for. So, 11th anniversary characters are on the cards, and obviously we'll talk about some replacements here and there to try and make the teams more friendly for your account and more accessible and all that fun stuff too. But as I mentioned, it is a Super Boss event. Today we're focusing on the 15-star and trying to hit that illustrious 1 trillion, maybe even 2 trillion with a 2-turn burst type style. So let's dive on in. If you enjoyed the video, like, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff, and hit the bell notification because we're putting out a lot of content for the Kazuna. We'll have playthroughs. Let me know in the comment section if you guys want to see anything else to do with the 10-star or the 15-star event. But starting off with the Dex 15-star, strength signing characters get all the good stuff. On battle 2, you get Pain. Bottom right character gets silenced. So that bottom right character basically becomes redundant for the fight unless they can remove the silence themselves, or you bring a character to remove that. Now, common strategies for this for stuff like Toki, you could use the Sabo and Bonnie unit that just make you immune for 1 to 3 turns or whatever it is. However, because they want you to use strikers and a lot of the good characters revolve around you having 6 strike characters, there is literally no character that can bypass this. So kind of stuck with just losing a character and just revolving around, running 5 characters and revolving all your damage around that. 7 turns of damage reduction, normal attacks only. Interrupt, if you basically try and use Brook, they fuck you over. And then on defeat, the enemy does a full HP recovery and then does a 10% HP cut. So very, well, it's not very strange, actually. The full HP recovery is for the character. After 1 turn, you lose your potential abilities, you lose all your beneficial effects. Very bad stuff, so just don't pass the turn. After you do that, you move into battle 3. Mihawk Perona have all the blow-away stuff. They're weak to strikers. They have a preemptive, being immune to everything except for poison and increased damage taken. So you can apply increased damage taken. You don't need someone that just has to bypass full immunity. Normal attacks only, defense up, dex super type, and intimidation for an attack up and a type effect boost, and base attacks. If you use any of these forms of damage, you will lose 1 turn of it. There's a territory, 5 turns of slot bind, burn, chain multiply growth rate, and then attack down if you're below a 3.5 times chain. If there's no normal attacks, basically if you use Brook, get a whole bunch of bad stuff. And then after 1 turn, you take some paralysis, bind, and then normal attacks only. Also, if you're below 99% HP, you're going to have to deal with 2 turns of damage nullification as well as 10 turns of top row despair. So because you get the 10% HP cut leaving stage 2, you're basically always going to be below 99% unless you use someone to give yourself overheal, and then that 10% HP cut doesn't drop you below 99%. But look, there are characters that can kind of just get around this. The damage nullification is not a huge problem, and the team that we're rocking looks a little bit like this. So we are running the new Rocks Pirate as our captain. For this particular team, we are utilizing Ace as our friend captain. The what's it called? The treasure map Ace. So he's going to be our friend captain. Unfortunately, we don't have access to his final tap. There are some things that you can do to get access to it, and we'll have to sort of do a little bit of testing until to see what works the best when it comes to that. Because as you can see, I have treasure map Enel down the bottom here in the bottom right hand corner. Now, treasure map Enel can be popped on turn 1, and the way he works is that at the start of every turn, he applies a 1.3 increased damage taken. So the idea here is you can use his special. You get the 1.3 times increased damage taken. You move into the next turn, you get it there, and then you move to the final stage, and then you at least get that extra 1.3 times final increased damage taken. He's then obviously going to get silenced. We put him in the middle right-hand slot, and basically he's just here as a placeholder. Now, if the final tap of Ace, which it probably will be, if you can find some higher level Aces, you can just replace this Enel down the bottom here with any character that works into the final tap of Ace. Characters like Sabo, you could throw on the Lucy character. You could just do some fun stuff there. As long as it's a striker character that sort of fulfills the requirements, you will be pretty much fine to go. You could use what's it called? You could use the Luffy Yamato instead, and then you'd have to replace obviously Ace Yamato. You could use the Exchange Ace is another really good option. Because he's a Whitebeard pirate. Oh, actually, no, that won't work, actually, because you can't, Ace for Ace won't actually trigger it. But if you used, say, Ace down here, you could put a Yamato. So, for example, you could put the exchange ace in that bottom right-hand corner, and then you could use the, say, Yamato, for example, the Int Yamato, instead of Ace Yamato for an increased damage taken buff and a chain buff there. Much of a muchness, really, what the team will actually look like. But at the same time, I think this will probably do a little bit of damage if you're only finding, say, a level 1 friend captain ace. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, yeah, you're not gonna get the what's it called? You're not gonna get the super type of ace, which is a bit of a problem. So what you could easily do is, like I said, is you could just swap this character here for Yamato. Because we don't want that super type. So you could just throw on this Yamato here, and then you could just basically go, what's it called? Well, actually, hang on. Am I tripping? No, we will, because we have Ace Yamato. I am a smackhead. Ignore everything that I just said. You will actually have it. What did I have here? Do we have, what, Marco? Marco works, right? Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, you actually have it because you have a Yamato there. So you have Yamato, wipe it, and then you have Roger. Yeah, I'm absolutely bugging. So this didn't work absolutely fine. That's actually the reason I used Ace Yamato. I forgot about that. Excuse me. So, and it'll give you the increased damage taken. You get that 1.3 times on the final stage. To deal with turn 2, because we have the Rock Pirates as our captain, you basically just turn this, what's it called? The damage reduction into nothing. So the idea is we're just going to burst through this particular turn. Moving into the final stage, as you can see, I have a whole bunch of supports for some despair. We have the Gidatsu support on our Enel, we have Corazon, and then we have Yamato, the Kizuna Legend Yamato, for 7 turns all up. Now, if you guys don't have Yamato, you can use Sweet Generals and then change the ship to something like the Going Merry or any other ship that does some despair removal. This ship, for my team, it actually doesn't do anything. Like you could literally run anything. I think the Arlong ship's probably going to give you the most damage. I don't know if it resets with your like if you do captain swaps and stuff, but the idea here is to just sort of get as much damage out as possible, or just have some sort of utility. So moving into the final stage, we have the Ace Friend Captain. He's actually going to be our attack booster. Then we can use the Law Special as a Orb booster. So when you have, I believe this is how it works, when you have Law as a captain, he can actually apply the tap timing bonus, and he only gives an attack boost if you have an orb boost live. So otherwise he gives you a 1-turn orb boost, but because of the intimidation, it's actually going to go down. I believe it. Is it actually? No, I don't think there is. No, take it back. There is no intimidation on orb boost, is there? So you could use the super class of Ace first to get the overrideable orb boost, and then use the Rocks Pirates to get all of their shenanigans. You get the bigger orb boost, you get the set target ability, and you're basically off to the races there. We can then use the Law Special for an attack boost. Law's then going to give back his cooldowns, which will work very, very nicely for a 2nd turn burst if you can sort of manage it with this particular team. I believe you just have to deal with what happens on the 2nd turn. You just have to deal with paralysis and a little bit of bind. So not too challenging. Look, honestly, like if you use something like this, probably going to be better for a 2nd turn burst. I believe. Do you have to do with block orbs or anything? No, you don't have to do with block orbs, which is good. So, and then you just like throw on like the Paraspera support here. Yeah, probably something like that. So you have Law for the attack boost. Ace can increase that attack boost, which is really, really handy. And then when you use the Ace Yamato swap, you get the chain boundary, you get the chain boost from Marco, you get the conditional boost as well for burn. And then with the 2 turns of cooldown, provided you're bringing in Ace that has a Limit Break expansion, you will actually get the Ace special back, which will apply the strength territory as well. You also have the territory from Shiki and the Rocks Pirates, and then you also have color affinity and class effectiveness with the Rocks Pirates. On top of that, you remove the chain coefficient reduction, the tap timing shenaniganry, and with this, you should hit very, very hard. I imagine this is going to do quite a bit of damage. So the idea here is you can use the Law Rush into Enel, into Yamato Ace, into Roger Relic Barn for their super tandem, hitting into the Rocks Pirates, and then finishing off with the final tap of Ace. On the second turn, you can use the versatility of Law to remove the paralysis. You have the orbs locked with the Perispera support. And with that, basically, you are going to have 2-turn attack boost, so that's going to be pretty hunky-dory. I believe Law actually extends color affinity boosts and attack boosts. So I don't know if that will, like, go into the because you are going to lose 1 turn of it, but I believe he's like, I believe the attack boost will sort of trigger before he swaps in, which kind of sucks. So like you could probably use the Ace multi-turn attack boost, and then have Ace go in. He's going to extend the color affinity boost of Roger Religman as well, so the intimidation won't affect it too much. So that's the team for that one. Should work pretty nicely. Got some high hopes for this one, and I don't really see too many teams working besides Striker for this particular variation. However, for the Sci-Fight, they also want you to use Strikers, but I'm not exactly convinced that Strikers are going to be the best team to actually take this down. But starting it off, slash the Striker Power, get all the good stuff. On Battle 2, there's normal attacks only. 1 turn of 99% damage limiter, as well as an attack down with any type orb for 90%. Obviously, there's the Brook Shenanigans, full heal, retreat on death, and then after 1 turn, you're going to have to deal with 7 turns of defense up, some hunger, and some slot bind, and then after 2 turns, you get the potential ability nullification, you lose all your beneficial effects. So there is a world where you could sort of take 1 turn here and just like burst it down in 2. Definitely could be a situation, but then obviously you have to deal with the slot bind. You also have to deal with the hunger, and you also have to deal with the defense up, which, look, that definitely could be a bit of a problem, but I'm sure, look, some smarty pants psycho brain will sort of figure out a way around that. Battle 3, Mihawk Perona have all the blow-away stuff. Again, they're weak to Strikers. They have full immunity except poison and increased damage taken. Normal attacks only, damage reduction, threshold. Psi, super type, intimidation for slot effect boost and base attack boost. They put up a territory and then 2 turns of special reverse on everyone. If you remove the normal attacks only, the Brook Shenanigans, you get a whole bunch of bad stuff. But if you remove the damage reduction or the threshold, there's also some stuff that happens. So if you remove the damage reduction, you get paralysis and an attack down if you blow a 3 times chain. And if you remove the threshold for up to 1 time, you get attack down as well as chain growth reduction at 0.1. Also, if you apply increased damage taken, there is a interrupt where you lose all your beneficial effects and your accumulated values. You crew get special one, and you also get increased damage taken. After 1 turn, there's normal attacks only, and you get a full board of block orbs, which is a little bit annoying. So team I put together looks a little bit like this, and the friend captain is going to be using Saturn. So the idea is we're going to try and get like as much out of Saturn as possible. As you can see, my cost is, with a Saturn friend captain, it's going to be 698. Now we can increase that a little bit by removing that orb blocking support, or we could replace maybe the Marco support to a Super Evolution just to crack the 700, which is going to allow us to get a 4.75 times attack boost with Saturn. But look, I don't know if that's going to be better than just having that chain boost from Marco, so that's sort of the goal here. On turn 2, because we have the characters required for Roger and Newgate, I believe, yeah, we do, we can activate his EX, which will remove the 1 turn of the damage limiter and the attack down with the orbs. With that, you get fighters turn to slashers, but look, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal because we don't have any fighter characters on the team, and we are just running a full striker-based build. With that, we're basically just going to burst our way through. We should be able to kill fairly easy, and we can just move on to the next stage. On the final stage, because we have Roger Religman as our captain, we are going to just set the threshold to 0. Now, we don't have to worry about the threshold. However, because we're using Saturn, we are going to be removing the damage reduction. Now, I'm running double Saturn here, like I said. This other Saturn down the bottom here, you could probably replace with another unit. I basically just threw him on here because of just the extra cost, just to allow us to get a little bit more out of him. He's a boosted unit. He's going to be hitting fairly hard. But realistically, you don't need 2 Saturns on this particular team. I just couldn't really find another character that would sort of work with the compounds of what I was trying to do. Obviously, if you have like the new Robin and Crocodile, like that's probably going to be like a much better shout there. Definitely run that. Try some fun stuff. You could maybe use a damage reduction conversion buff unit, but again, we have Ace Yamato, so like that's going to make it pretty hard. But I guess you could probably use something like the Exchange Ace for a conditional boost, and then you could also use like Verse Yamato for the damage reduction conversion buff. Like you could definitely run the 2 of them there, and that would work out pretty hunky-dory instead. But look, I think this is probably going to be pretty nice with the amount of damage you can do in terms of just hitting really, really hard. But For the final stage, we have the special of the Rocks Pirates. Now, there is a intimidation on all buffs for this particular fight. So you are going to lose 1 turn of the all buff, but because we have Law, we have a double special activation for the Rocks Pirates. So what you can actually do is you can use the Saturn special to get use the Rocks Pirates first to get the orb boost, and then you can use Law to be your attack booster for 2 turns. That way, if you're trying to do some two-turn burst shenaniganry with this particular team, you could probably swing it. You probably want to do something like that, though, so that way your in-characters have like better orbs. Law giving the 2-turn attack boost, and then the friend Captain Saturn allowing you to stack the 4.75 on top of that is going to be pretty nasty. Like, it's going to be looking at around an 8 times captain ability. Law also gives you the overheal mechanic, which triggers the EXs for like both these teams, actually, which is really, really nice. You get the set target for the pseudo double special of the Rocks Pirates. Ace and Yamato are giving you a conditional buff as well as a chain boundary. You remove the reduction with the Rocks Pirates, and then you can just use the Rocks Pirates special for all your color affinity and your increased like class affinity and all that fun stuff too. So to deal with the paralysis, we have the versatility of Ace, so we're pretty much covered for that. I believe it's 7 turns, if I remember correctly. It's 6 turns, so you're actually going to want to bring another character that can remove paralysis. So having that Leonardo support on Ace down the bottom there is actually perfect. He locks orbs as well, so you can use the ship like you can see here too. So this is what we're doing striker-wise, but look, like I said, I'm not 100% convinced that strikers are going to be the best team for it. So I did put together like a slasher, sort of free spirit kind of comp. We did find last season, like slasher free spirit just still showed how goddamn dominant they are. Obviously, they had a lot of help with boosters and stuff like that, but I do think you could probably do some pretty cool stuff here. The problem I did find with this particular team is the EX of Roger Gaban actually clashes with the special of Zoro and Sanji. So you're gonna actually need to use Zoro Sanji on the turn before, which is a little bit annoying because then you lose your tandem orbs and all that fun stuff. There's intimidation on orb boosts here anyway, so like that's not like a huge problem. But the idea here is we're going to use a 10th anniversary Shanks as a friend captain. So on turn 2, super swap with Zoro Sanji, use the Zoro Sanji special, turn everyone into free spirit slashes for 3 turns. Then you can use the EX of Roger Gaban. Roger Gaban will remove all those nasty effects, so then you can just kill on this particular turn. When you move into the final stage, you can use the EX of Shanks. That's going to allow you to get an orb buff and remove the intimidation. Because everyone slashes, you can actually use the coffin boat ship to get the 2 turns of cooldown. Actually, something over here I forgot to mention is we actually need to use Ace Yamato first for the cooldowns, which is actually a little bit of a problem because then you lose a pretty good attack boost. It's still 2-turn attack boost though, so like, I mean, that makes Law an orb booster now, I guess. But he's gonna lose that too, so bit of a problem. But look, much for muchness. Yeah, so you're going to have a full team of slashes. Coffin Boat gives the cooldowns there, which is really, really nice. Because you have an orb boost, Ace becomes a conditional booster, which is awesome for burn. And then he also increases color affinity. So ideally, what you want to do first is use the Zoro Sanji special turn 2, EX of Shanks, use the Coffin Boat ship to get the cooldowns. Then you can use the Roger Gaban special to give you the color affinity, the tap timing, all that fun stuff. You have Ace to give the conditional buff and increase the color affinity. Then you can use the Shank special to give a chain boundary, which is nice, as well as increase attack boosting. So actually scrap that. You want to use the Kid Law special first. Kid Law also give you the EX will give you the tandem orb that you need on them for the super tandem. Actually, I don't know if the super tandem works, if I'm being completely honest with you. So, yeah, you kind of want to use Shanks first. Unfortunately, Shanks is not going to increase the attack boost, but you do want to have a full board of tandem orbs because for this particular team, we are using the Roger Gaban super tandem. So, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to increase it with Shanks because Shanks makes Psy orbs, but you should still get some pretty decent damage there. Kid Law also give you the extra super type buff. They actually give you a super type, which is really, really cool. And then finally, you can use the special of Luffy to extend all your buffs by 2 turns. Now, unfortunately, you can't apply increased damage taken on this particular fight, so you have to use his versatility. But for this team, we actually don't have his versatility unless you get very lucky with a what's it called? recovery orb on turn 1. Unless you get very, very lucky there, then you're unfortunately not going to be able to get that. But the idea here is you're going to rush with Ace, hit with the friend Captain Shanks into Roger Rally Caban, use their super tandem, hit with Zoro Sanji, hit with Law Kid, and then you can final tap with Luffy, hopefully doing a butt ton of damage. Now, because you're using because you have damage reduction removal on this particular team, you are going to need Ace to remove paralysis, and should work out pretty hunky-dory. But there you guys go. That is Super Boss. Don't stress. I know my explaining can be a little bit convoluted and it can be a little bit confusing, but don't stress. I always do playthrough videos for this type of stuff. So at the end of the day, if you sort of put together the team, wait for the playthrough video to come out, we can kind of go from there. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, but like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's